So I want to talk to you a little bit more about why notebooking is, I believe, one of the most vital and important things you can do for your children as a homeschooling mother. The reason is notebooking increases learning and retention. When you give your child an assignment, a notebooking assignment, they will actually be spending more time thinking about what they learn and what they've learned, what you have just either read to them or they've listened to, if they're listening to my audiobooks, or however it is that they're gaining the material. When they sit down to create a notebooking page, their mind is fully engaged with the material. They are thinking about, what did I learn? And it's actually, they're contemplating it in their mind, and it's transferring it from that place of that short-term memory, which is what happens when the child is learning. It goes into the short-term memory, but how do we make it go from that short-term memory, I just learned something, into the long-term memory? And the way we do that is through notebooking style assignments. And notebooking style assignments are assignments that require the kid to really contemplate the material they learned. And you know, here's the problem, is that most curricula in the public school and the private schools and some homeschool curricula actually employ worksheets and tests instead of creative assignments, such that would require the child to creatively, personally express what they learned. And what happens when a child fills out a worksheet or takes a quiz or a test, they are not employing their long-term memory. It is the short-term memory that they are accessing when they're filling out the worksheet to say, oh yeah, I remember that, I remember that, I remember that, and filling out A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or whatever it is, true, false. They are not really contemplating. They're remembering from their short-term memory what it was that they were taught, and that does not engage the whole mind of the child. The child doesn't really have to sit down and think, okay, so now what was the difference? What were the big differences between alligators and crocodiles? And what were those things? Okay, I want to write, I want to creatively express that in my own way. Or you fill out a worksheet and that stays in the short-term memory, and it doesn't require them truly to contemplate it. So when we have the child do a notebooking assignment, they're truly contemplating the material that they have learned. And that is one of the benefits of notebooking, because what it does is it gives your child ownership of their knowledge. They actually now truly know it. They own that knowledge. It did not stay in the short-term memory and then fade away. Like most of us grew up in the public or private school sector, and we got through high school, middle school, junior high, high school, elementary school, all of that using this worksheet and test methodologies that teachers, this is how they needed to what they needed to employ in order to determine whether a child had read the material or not. So it's really, worksheets and tests are really about grading one child against another, and about giving grades so that for a higher entity to tell them, yes, my students, this student is succeeding and this student is failing, and that's what it's about. It's not about truly helping the child to remember and learn the material. So there's really no point in worksheets and tests for the homeschooler, except for in high school when you need to have some records of what they have done. But in their younger years, and I even believe in notebooking in high school because my children did it and it was amazing and really helped them to succeed in college. But we don't need to employ this methodology in our homeschool because it does not develop the thinking skills that we want our children to have. And what notebooking does is it makes our children stop what they're doing and focus back in on the material that we have taught them, and to really think about it, and then to begin to they critically think about it, and then they order that information, and then they have to decide, how am I going to express that information? And when a child starts doing this, and they may have a hard time expressing themselves at first, but once they get in the habit of notebooking, the child is actually gaining the habit of critical thinking. They're gaining the habit of thinking. And what that does for the child is it carries them through their older years, their high school years, their college years, and gives them an advantage over all the other kids who've been using this short-term memory system, who have gone into college without any really remembrance of anything they learned in high school. I know that I went to college and didn't remember very much. I was a good student, didn't remember very much of what I learned in high school. I mean, honestly, I think most of us, even the straight A valedictorians, probably don't remember half, or maybe even, they don't even remember 3/4 of what they learned in high school, because it's not because of them, it's not because of the teachers, it's because of the system. And so what notebooking does is it gives you a system to be able to create for your children an opportunity to truly learn and know and grow in knowledge. And what I believe this also does is it gives the child confidence, because when a child has created their own book of knowledge, they've done their own creative activities with the information that they have gained, they grow in confidence because they remember what they've learned. So when they remember what they learned, they can actually intelligently discuss birds or intelligently discuss insects, and because they know, they remember it, and that gives them confidence in every area of their lives. A child who has confidence in their ability to know and retain knowledge grows confidence in so many other areas. And so it's really just giving your child a bit of confidence, a confidence boost in their knowledge, and they know they can tackle any information that's presented to them. It also, I believe, gives your child a love for learning, because they're learning not to score well on a test. They're learning to know. They're learning because they're enjoying the knowledge that they have, and they find it fascinating, and they like knowing. That curiosity that they were born with continues to be sustained and nurtured throughout their school years, because they're allowed to use creativity while they are expressing and showing and proving their knowledge of the subject that they learned. One of one of our greatest professors in American history is Albert Einstein, and a couple of things he's talked about a lot is creativity and knowledge, and how important it is that his students are allowed to creatively express their learning. And we're talking about a college professor here. We're not talking about a professor of elementary students. If it's so important for college students to have an opportunity to creatively express what the professor has explained to them and taught them, how much more so is it for young children not to have their creativity quashed at that young age? Albert Einstein, he has a quote, and it is the supreme art of the teacher to awaken joy in the creative expression and knowledge. And so here we're talking about Albert Einstein. He also said it is a miracle that curiosity survives formal education. So he knows that curiosity is often killed by the methodologies we use to teach children, and we want to use methodologies that don't kill our child's curiosity to learn and to grow in knowledge. We want to use methodologies that bring it to life, that keep them excited, that keep that love for learning alive. Another awesome thing about notebooking is that notebooking provides for us a record of our child's education. I didn't really think too much about this until a few years into notebooking, when I started looking back over my children's notebooks. And I mean, we didn't notebook every subject every day or anything like that. We probably notebooked every subject maybe once a week. And but just looking over their notebooks years later, and now when they're in college, and all these notebooks I have, it is a record of what they have learned. It's a beautiful, almost like a scrapbook of our homeschooling. And it gives you the ability to show others what your child has learned. I know with me, my mother was a public school principal, and then she became an administrator, but she was very concerned about this whole homeschooling business. So she came when she would come for the summer, just to visit in the summer. She would bring standardized tests and test my children was very concerned, very concerned. I let her do it. I didn't care. My kids were great, so I knew they would be fine on these tests. But then after we started homeschooling, my mom saw the notebooks that my children were creating, and she quit testing them. She said, this is amazing. This is way better than anything we're doing. And we, meaning the public education, the public system. And I do know some public school teachers who use notebooking, they call them portfolios, and I love that. I'm so excited that there are kids in the public schools who are getting the opportunity to be creative in their expression of their learning, but mostly they're using these failing methodologies of worksheets and tests. And so it does provide a record of their education, and it oppresses the naysayers, the people who don't really know what this homeschooling stuff is all about. It really will help them to see that it's a great thing. So I want to talk to you a little bit about my notebooks and why notebooking why using the notebooking journals is helpful. When I originally wrote my books, I didn't use notebooking journals. I had people create their own notebooks. Well, as you know, being a busy homeschool mom, a lot of moms were asking for me to provide a notebook that they could use with the assignments in them. And so we did that. And I'm so glad we did, because it is helpful for the mother to actually have a notebooking journal with that will help the child to do the assignment. For example, in my anatomy book, in the bones chapter, lesson 2, the notebooking assignment in that chapter is to have the student label the bones in the body that they learned about. And so my notebooking journal, I actually put a skeleton there for the child to label. And that does make it so much easier, because mother doesn't have to find a picture of a skeleton and print it up and put it in the notebook for the child to label. It's right there for them. So this is just a way to make homeschooling and getting your notebooking assignments done easier. And also another thing that I've heard mentioned and seen mentioned on the Apologia, All Things Apologia page is lap books. Now, most of you probably know what lap books are, but essentially what they are is miniature books where the child cuts out and puts together a book and puts it in a lap book would be a folder. Well, we have created miniature books because some people do like lap booking. I had one child that adored lap booking. She loved cut things out and glue them together and put in, but that was just her personality. Now my boys weren't so much into doing all that. They'd rather just draw a picture, do a diagram, or dictate to me, because it takes a while for boys to actually be writing stuff on their own. And if you have any questions about that, please ask me, because my boys are on the dean's list in college and they weren't writing fluently in the elementary years for quite some time. So I dictated a lot of their notebooks for them, typed it out, and then printed it up, and they put it in their notebook. But the mini book thing was just too much work for them. So they would not enjoy that. So, but what we've done with with our notebooks is we have created the opportunity for students to do mini books. So we put miniature books where the students will cut them out and let's see if I can figure out how to do this. This is like backwards. Cut them out and then glue them together or staple them together, and then instead of making a whole new lap book, we've given them a place where they will glue their miniature book, their little lap book, into the notebooking journal. So in addition to having really awesome notebooking assignments and fun things they've done, they can also do miniature books too if they want to, but they don't have to. I mean, obviously with these notebooking journals, we've got crosswords, we've got lots of things for them to do. Pick and choose. They do not. We also have a copy work where they can copy scripture that's related to that lesson. But you don't have to do anything. You can do some, you can do all, you can do more, you can do less. It's your homeschool, your children. You do what's right for your children, and you do as much of the journal as keeps that love for learning alive. I would never want a child to start feeling like science is a drudgery because they've got too many assignments to do while they're homeschooling. No, it's about learning. It's about gaining the knowledge, being excited about it, doing the activity, the experiment, the project, and just making it alive, something wonderful, bringing bringing learning to life. And if there are things in the journal that your children are not enjoying, skip them. Don't do them, because that's not what it's about. It's about giving your children a love for learning that they will carry with them into high school and into college. So we do have mini books, and they are available, but I would say a lot of children, that miniature books are fun for a little while, and they're not, going to continue to maintain them, but they're not something that's a keepsake the way a notebooking journal is, which you had the child has recorded everything that they have learned, everything that all the projects and experiments they've done, and been able to do assignments that are just their own work, what they wanted to do, and how they wanted to express it. For example, in my astronomy book, my notebooking assignment is to create an advertisement of the Earth. Now, they have just spent the entire lesson learning about the attributes that make the Earth unique and why it's different from every other planet, how its rotation is different, how exactly where it is in its distance from the sun, where it is in the solar system, where it is in the universe, how that makes it so much more unique than any other planet ever. And then they're asked to make an advertisement to sell the Earth to whoever might want to buy the Earth. And so every child is going to use their own unique creativity to explain or to creatively show or make an advertisement that will show everything they've learned, what they thought was the most cool thing about our planet that's different than all the other planets. They can make that the big splash about the advertisement. So that's why I think notebooking, it allows the child their own creative expression. They are able to express it creatively in their own way. And so while I do love mini books, and we have them available in every lesson, in every single notebooking journal, I do believe the notebooking journals are essential for your child's retention and learning of the subject. I believe what notebooking does is it gives your child, it fully engages them and really helps them to be attentive to the subject so that it does transmit the knowledge from the short-term memory to the long-term memory, gives them ownership of the knowledge, gives them confidence in the knowledge, and helps them to truly retain a love for learning. So those are some of the great things I believe are helpful about notebooking. I wanted to talk to you just a couple of ideas. I don't know how many of you are actually using my notebooking journals right now, but some of the fun activities that we have. I was trying to think of what are some of my favorite notebooking activities that I have in my books, and I would say some of the funnest ones that we have done in our homeschool was in botany. We have an assignment in when they learn about leaves, they learn about the edges of the leaf, the shape of the leaf, all the different aspects of leaves that really are unique to each leaf. And then we have the child go out and collect leaves outdoors, and they glue them into their notebooking journal. You have to let them dry before you close the page, but they glue them into their notebooking journal, and then they write down what which kinds of leaves. This is a serrated leaf. This is the different shapes and what it is, and it's like they're taking the knowledge that they learned about leaves, and then they're actually creating notebook pages with real live leaves and using the knowledge they have to identify the leaves. And so that was one of the really fun things we do. In botany, in zoology 1, there's one where I have the students research a bird that migrates, a migrating bird, and then to research the exact route that bird takes to migrate. And so, for example, if they were going to research the hummingbird, which is what my daughter did at the time, and then they would use a map, they would create a map, and we have maps in the journal, and they would actually map out the route. Is it route or route? I've never really known actually the answer to that question. So anyway, route, they're going to map it out for where the bird goes south, where it stays when it goes south, and then its route going back north. And it's just kind of a fun way to really bring that knowledge to life, and they're really it makes it more tangible to think about, wow, this bird is flying all those miles, all the way across that body of water all the way across this area just to go. They just naturally do this. It's pretty phenomenal. So there's actually so many fun notebooking journal activities in the notebooking journals. And so I would highly recommend, if you want to make it easier for you, to get the notebooking journals. But again, I did write the books with the intention that you don't have to have them, because you can create your own if you have the time and the energy, and you're just one of those, you know, live wire moms and you want to create your own journals, then do it. But that is what I wanted to talk to y'all about today. Again, please ask me any questions. You can go to my Facebook page, or you can go to my website, JeannieFulbright.com. Follow me on social media. I am really wanting to connect with you guys. I want to know who you are. I want to know where your heart is. I want to hear from you, because I want to share with you what I've gained, what I've learned, and I also just want to connect with you guys, because you're important to me and your thoughts are important to me, and everything that you're going through is. And so thank you so much for listening to today's Apologia, All Things Apologia Live Talk. Great to see y'all. Bye.